Hello, all. My name is Lorraine Copes, and I am your host for today. I am the founder of Be Inclusive Hospitality, and we are a social enterprise with a mission to accelerate race equity today in hospitality, food, and drink, actually, not just today, but forever. And for the next 30 to 40 minutes, I'm going to be hosting a conversation about the emergence of black-owned drinks brands within the industry. And the reason why I arrived at this topic is my personal background is in procurement within the drinks industry. So I've been coming to Imbibe for the past maybe 10 years or more. And what I've personally experienced and witnessed over the past 2 to 3 years is the emergence of more black-owned drinks brands. And actually, I'll say the emergence of some phenomenal innovative brands first, and they also happen to be founded by black owners. And I thought it was an important conversation to have here and now because, coming here to somewhere like Imbibe, where obviously you're all within the drinks industry in some way, shape or form, I think it's really important to spotlight. And so that's why we're here today, and we will have a few minutes actually at the end to ask any questions, so please do save them till the end. And now I'm going to hand over to my panel to introduce themselves. Damola, we'll start with you.
Thank you very much, Lorraine. My name is Damola Tamain. I'm the co-founder of Spearhead Spirits, premium African spirits brand that we make Vusa vodka and Bayab gin. My co-founder is sat at the back there, Chris Frederick. I know he's didn't want to be called out, but yeah, we're from Spearhead Spirits. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nicole Johnson. I'm the founder of La Pondrier Champagne and Rusty Rabbit Spirits Drinks. We are the first black woman champagne brand out of the United Kingdom, and I am the only importer, exporter, and distributor of spirits, a black woman in the world.
So hi everyone, my name is Aretha, and I'm a co-founder of a gin called Haze Gin. So we're a mix of London dry gin mixed with West African spices, mainly from Ghana. We have 3 ranges at the moment. That's it.
Thank you so much. And I want to start with the first question about your why. And I'll start with Nicole, simply because one of her key brands, La Pondrier, is a champagne. And I just want to understand your why. Why did you move into the field of champagne? What was the motivator there?
There was 2 reasons. One was COVID, and 2 was because there wasn't a lot of representation in that area. So there's quite a bit of whiskey, there's vodka, there's gin, but when you're talking about premium champagne, there wasn't a representation that I knew. Right now there's 4 of us in the world, Marie, Marvina, myself, and then there's another young lady that just started hers strictly for the wedding industry, Samantha. And so when we would have conversations, champagne's one of my top 3. I like whiskey, tequila, champagne. And I was looking for it. I was trying to get more information about it. My particular vineyard, I've been visiting since I was 11. And he asked me one day, he was like, why don't you do your own line? And I was like, no, I've got cocktails coming. He was like, you're premium, you should do champagne. And I was like, you know what, you're absolutely right. And so that's why we did it. Everything from the packaging down to the juice we chose, down to the grape we chose.
Okay, super. Thank you. Thanks for that. Aretha, what's your why?
Our why, we also kind of went for it in COVID. And we just wanted something that represented us, being East London girls, being of Ghanaian heritage. We just wanted a drink. We wanted something that was like, yeah, I can understand this. I know where they're coming from, and that's where Haze Gin kind of started from. So we basically looked into London dry gin, the components, what makes it that London dry gin, that taste. And we also just looked into Ghanaian gin, what made it that traditional taste, and just combined those 2 flavors and went for it from there. So we've got some flavors that are really uniquely English with rhubarb, and we've spiced it up with some African spices, mainly from West Africa, to give it that kick and that punch. So Haze Gin is a representation of me, myself, my co-founder, and of our mixed heritage. Yeah.
Thank you. Damola?
A little bit croaky there. I guess our why, Chris and we've been friends for almost 20 years, and we've been out drinking on several occasions, and the one thing that we observed was that on every bar back there was representation from every single continent apart from Africa.
Yeah.
So we identified that Africa wasn't represented, and it was about time that it was.
Yeah.
So we went on that journey to figure out how could we make premium African spirits for the world to enjoy.
Okay.
So our why was
Okay.
really driven by the need to represent Africa in the spirit space. Really.
Sure. And so the journey to date then, and I say this as, again, someone that's worked within the drinks industry for quite a long time, and in my mind there seems to be quite a big gap between the large multi-billion pound companies and the sort of smaller entrepreneurial startup businesses. So how would you describe the journey to date, and what's the length of that journey been actually?
From Spearhead Spirits' point of view, that journey has been 3.5 years in the
Okay.
making.
Yeah.
And I think that the interesting thing is about learning the mechanics of the industry. As a consumer, you go to a bar, you order a drink, but you don't think about how that drink has got onto the shelf.
Yeah.
And so in our case, we had to figure out how do you make that journey as a product from a distillery to the consumer. And Chris is a logistical genius, getting liquid from the African continent
Yeah.
into France, the UK, and the US.
Yeah.
But we have to be completely honest. The journey was long.
Yeah.
We did a lot of that during COVID. We had to
Yeah.
navigate the shipping crisis, increases in prices of actually, producing
Yeah.
a liquid. But we've always said developing a business in this environment is a privilege, because if it can work today,
Absolutely.
then when things get better, everyone's laughing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the journey's been long, interesting,
Yeah.
and it's taught us a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine. Nicole, how would you
For
sum up
us,
the journey?
the journey has been interesting. The champagne for us was an accident. We had developed the champagne to send out as Christmas gifts to our Rest Rapid Spirits clients, just to show them what we could do for them
Okay.
in the import, exporting, and distributing space, and creating their own
Wow.
lines. And when we came back, we had all these orders, and we were like, but it's not for sale. And they were like, no, but we want it. So it went from taking it from the small production that we were doing to now going into a large production space. One of the things that we've had as an addition for us was, because COVID hit, your larger supply chains have decided where they're going to put their their champagne. And because they're pulling back their supplies that they're giving to the US,
Yeah.
to the UK market, it's allowed for smaller brands like myself to come in. So we've been getting some nice size orders that are coming into the market. But at the same time, we know that that's going to change within the next 2 to 3
Sure.
years. So you also want to make sure that you've got quality, that you've got taste, that you've got proficiency, so that that name brand is always out there. So as you matriculate into those other spaces, that you're able to.
Cool. And how long has that journey been?
The entire journey has been since 2011, but the champagne journey has been since 2019.
Okay, cool. 3 years as well. How about you, Rita?
So the journey for us was just initially trying to find out if people actually wanted what we wanted. It's all great having this fantastic idea all in your head and thinking, do people actually want this type of drink, or is it something we just want for ourselves kind of thing? So initially it was just down to doing a lot of research in Ghana to find out what is their views on drinking, especially women drinking, if they accept women actually, producing drinks and stuff like that. Because you have to understand, gin is a very strong alcohol, and there are some kind of misconceptions
Yeah.
of women drinking certain types of alcohol
Yeah.
in Ghana. So to put that forward and explain, we're bringing something new and fresh, and this is how things are progressing and changing, kind of like if you're going to deal with it and we're coming kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
sure.
it started with a lot of trying of understanding where the drink comes from, what it means. It's,
Yeah.
It's not just something to, it's got meaning behind it
Yeah,
and stuff
sure.
like that.
Sure.
Then again, doing the research via the London way as well, and proper understanding you know, doing research, going to museums and understanding what we're actually about to take on. So once we really settled down and got into it, and then it just started off from there. So it was researching on how we're going to get gin from Ghana down to here, or we're going to do it vice versa, or we made it both simultaneously at 2 different places at the same time, and just trying to find our balance on what works best for us.
Super.
So we're still growing, we're still learning, but right now it's okay, it's going okay for us.
Super. And what's the length of that journey been? When
We
did it start?
started, in all, we've had this whole gin idea, alcohol idea, good 5-6 years, but it properly went into motion about 2 years, 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And who would you describe then as your consumer? Who's your target consumer?
People with disposable income.
People with money to buy champagne, quite simply.
People with
You've got the
disposable
money.
income. It's not any genre, it's not any race, it's not any age group, but if you've got disposable income, that's who we're after.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's something similar as well. It's for the customer that wants to find and taste something different.
Yeah.
To come out of Ghana, to come out of West Africa, and something that tastes great as well. Yeah.
Sure.
Hello.
Thank you. Hello, we've got a late arrival, but thank you for coming. Sorry, is it Rico or it is? Hi. We were talking about target consumers, but we're just going to have a little break just so that you can introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do. Tell us about your product.
I hope this works. Hi everyone, I'm Rico from St. Ogan. Sorry I'm late, lovely to see you all. I'm one half of St. Ogan and we're a small rum brand. I partner with my colleague Nick, and we launched about 1.5 years ago. And happy to be great to see so many faces, and be good to tell you more about us.
Super. And in terms of length of your journey, how long have you been in business and what was your why? Why did you start?
I mean, the idea first came to us a long time ago. We launched in December 2020, so it's been 1.5 years.
Yeah.
But it was a few years getting to that point, and our why was really, we came at it firstly from just rum fans, like grew up with it. It's always been in and around the family, always a thing between our friendship. My family actually run a rum distillery back in Dominica, so it's always sort of been a go-to spirit for the both of us, and also I guess like more so me, literally being in my blood. And so it sort of came at it from an angle of just wanting to learn more, being curious around the spirit, sort of graduating as we grew up. We started out on just mixing rum and cokes and spiced rums, and then learned to appreciate some of the finer stuff, conversations with family, etc.
Yeah.
And I think at one point we were sort of looking at what was being reflected back to us in the market in the way of how drinks spoke about themselves, where they came from, the provenance stories, and feeling that there was a bit of a disconnect between the drinks we liked as a taste and the stories that they were telling. And especially someone like myself who has such a close relationship with it, being from my family background, of being that, like I say, just growing up around it so much. So it really came at it from an angle of, okay, we love this drink, why don't we put our own stamp on it, and there must be a different way to talk about this thing. And so that's how St. Ogun was born, really. And those two words sort of link directly back to our heritage and our backgrounds, and it's an outward reflection of both of those things.
Super, thank you. And Damala, I'm just going to pick up on the point that we were discussing previously around who your target audience is. Who's your target consumer?
I don't know, can you hear me?
I can. Yeah, well, can you? Yeah? No, you can't.
Can you hear me now? Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So our target audience, as we make vodka and gin, the audiences for both of those spirits are different.
Yeah.
I know that as a teenager, I first started drinking vodka, and I didn't start drinking gin until I was in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
I'm not going to reveal my actual age, but there are different profiles of drinkers for vodka and gin. As a black brand, people expect us to go after black audiences. That is the expectation. And I think it's important that we serve, black audiences, because they are underserved and they're not necessarily represented or spoken to by mainstream brands.
Yeah.
But we also think it's important that non-black audiences are introduced to products from, black owners, but also to products from Africa. Yeah. For us, this is an opportunity to put Africa in a bottle and share it with the world. There isn't a reason why, people that have never tried African products before in any form shouldn't try a product from Africa through us.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm not sure how many people, I don't know, in this crowd, how many people have picked up a product off the shelf that has come from or is made in Africa? Okay, that's less than half. That's less than half of this audience. So hopefully in a year or two, actually not even a year, 6 months, all of you would have tried our products, and you can say you've tried something from the continent. And what we're trying to do is to introduce that to the UK, to France, to the US, and also selling it in Africa as well. So we're sold in South Africa, and we'll take that product throughout the continent.
Super.
So in answer to your question, our audience is everyone. Hopefully.
Cool. Just wanted to clarify that. How about yourself, Rico? Who is your target audience?
I think I share a similar point of view in that I think we sort of look at things in terms of, well, we don't look at things, but now that I speak it through, if you start with a circle, you might sort of look at who's closest to the brand in terms of, all right, who does our story resonate with most, or who's a rum aficionado, who will take the time to spend time with our drink, get to know the story, etc. But I think that's quite a limited view, and I think our ambition is to be a drink that people come to for numerous reasons. One, because the story resonates with you. Two, because we're a great rum. Three, because you like what we're doing and our ethos. So I think if you look at where your values are and see how they spread, I think that, similar to yourself, I think we see ourselves as a drink that's for everyone, and we hope that we'd have something within our brand narrative, something within our brand depth that you could grow towards.
Super, thank you. And we'll stick with you for the next question about your vision. What is it?
So when we started, it was really trying to put a point of view that we felt like the category was missing, in that being from a split Caribbean and Nigerian background myself, there weren't many brands out there speaking to rum from that standpoint. There weren't many people who looked like me in this industry. And it always felt like there was a different way to speak about rum. It felt like there were a lot of cliches and tropes and stereotypes even that were sort of being pushed onto the category because that was the easy way to do things. And we felt like while there was some underlying truth to that, there should be a different way to speak about things. So we're a brand that was born in 2020, so we're contemporary by birth. And I think our vision for it is to really have a touch point and have an authentic voice on the people and places connected to our brand and the people and places connected to our story, and to always do so in a way that feels like it's exciting and it's fresh. And our vision for this is hopefully to have a presence in the places that have inspired us. So hopefully to have a presence in the Caribbean, to have a presence in Africa, to feel like we're relevant in London as well, in the UK.
Super. Thank you. Aretha, what's the vision for Hayes?
The vision for Hayes, to be one of the best known African gin in the world. That's the main vision at the end. So when you think of gin, you're going to automatically go Hayes. That's our main aim. Kind of what you was pointing on, like there wasn't really anything that kind of represented what we knew, what we drank, what we saw our parents drink. And we felt we just needed to put something in the market that would represent who we are and what our story and what we're trying to explain. You do get lots of kind of gimmicky brands that you can see straight off that have no connection with Africa or wherever they're putting their story from. And we wanted to bring, and we are putting something that is genuine into the market. So yeah, our ultimate game and our ultimate thing is to be the best gin in the world and to be highly respected and be sought after kind of,
Super.
So our champagne has a twofold vision. I'm currently battling stage 2 cancer, and so our champagne is based off of the women in my family. All of us have battled some form. My mom, breast, my grandmother. And so one of the things that we do is we also have our not-for-profit, which is Rest Rabbit Cares, to advocate on behalf of Black women. Yes, my story has been told out there is that I've had to shout from the rooftop that something was wrong, and typically that's how it has to be done. On the other side of that, from a consumer standpoint, as a brand standpoint, we want to showcase the what we call them 5 pillars of Black excellence, which is in art, music, fashion, food, and spirits, and wine. So we have this diaspora around And I've been doing the research, especially as it comes to France and the immigration and the export-import of African culture there.
Yep.
And the fact that we can't find African, Black, African American vineyards, owners, vintners, and the fact that we know that in every segment of spirits, there's been some point of African influence as far as where the barreling is done, the distilling process, and things of that nature. So part of that is also providing the research behind, hey, this is the long history of champagne. This is the long history of grapes and vintners and vineyards and the process. So that's our vision, just to keep advocating before on one side, but also to keep educating on the other side. That people know that it's not just for one particular country, but that it is a mixed bag of people that are there.
Super. Thank you. Thank you. Last but not least, Damola.
It's all right. I guess the context for our vision is when you think of Africa, everyone will have a specific image in their mind. And our vision is essentially to connect the world with the best of Africa through premium spirits. And we hope to do that by disrupting the industry both culturally, in terms of what we present and how we present it, but also commercially.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's a spirits business.
Yeah, sure.
And delivering authentic African products from the continent into other markets is commercially challenging.
Yeah.
So we have to disrupt the way in which that is done as well. So yeah, really simple. Connect the world to Africa through premium spirits.
Super, super. I've got another question now for you around entry into the UK drinks industry market, hospitality, and how that has been. Have you experienced barriers, challenges, closed doors? And I say that with slight jest. Obviously, you know my background, but just interested in your experiences, because ultimately we're here today with a room full of, or audience full of people that work within the industry. So can you share some of your experiences with us?
To be honest, we could write a book about this. This time last year, we were here just wandering around, drinking lots of spirits, coming to see Daniel at Value Africa upstairs. And between then and now, we've basically gone through like an MBA in the spirits industry and the drinks business. Learning how to get products from a distillery onto a bar is really damn difficult.
Yeah.
And you learn all the time, but I think the most, well, the thing that has resonated with me the most is that this is a people business.
Yeah.
And there is a person behind every decision, every bar, every procurement choice that you have to build a relationship with and convince and persuade that your product works for them. So the process has been one incredible learning experience, but also it's been one where we've built incredible relationships in a very short period of time. And I think it's a hard business. And someone once described it as hand-to-hand combat. You're having a battle every day with something or someone. I haven't lost my hair yet, but I've got a bit grey, and I'm sure I'll get greyer. So the process is difficult, challenging, but huge learning opportunity. And the last thing I'll say is that the mechanics of the industry is something that people do not tell you about when you get into it. And you have to literally break it down piece by piece, try and understand how it works and how it's going to work for you as a commercial entity. And we've had a lot of fun doing that. And there's a lot more to learn. Like, we do not know anything at all. And we have conversations, we're like, we're not in the industry. We're just coming from the outside, looking in. So we're kind of relying on everyone in this room and yourself and the people on this panel to kind of teach us and figure out how we can make this a success together.
Super. Thank you. Nicole?
Mine has been twofold. I think I call you on a regular basis with slight tears and sometimes like little happy joys. But because I came from the import-export side, I thought that the relationships I already had, it's an easy shoe-in, no issue. Hey guys, I talk to you guys all the time about my other brands. You'll just take this. That is not the case. And so learning that not only do you have to go up against menu list, and I know people say bar spins, things of that nature. I don't have an LVHM budget, right? So I can come and I can say, hey, I've got my 2 current SKUs, I've got 4 coming, and they're just like, well, come back to us when you have like 6. And I'm like, wait a second, do you know what kind of capital and time that that's going to take? And you're talking about 10 years from now, you know, when I'm at that level. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, no. I need my stuff in here now. So sometimes it's been a challenge. And then also sometimes you are the little black girl. And unfortunately, it sucks because you see other brands or you see other things and you're there and it's like the door just opens for them. But when it comes into you and things of that nature, you really are having to fight for it. Like he said, the war, you're literally fighting hand-to-hand combat. Fortunately, I lost my hair, wink, wink. But it's, you know, it's just one of those things of you just have to be diligent with it. And if that's what you want and that's how you want it, that's your passion, then you just go through and say, you know what, on to the next one and keep doing it. We stuck with it and doors opened, and then the doors opened in the U.S. When the doors opened in the U.S., then the U.K. started calling, say, hey, we saw you on X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And so now you have it.
Yeah.
For us, initially it was trying to find a level balance of working on this side and working in Ghana as well. So we kind of made the decision, my co-owner, to basically be based out in Ghana so we can get the better connection on what we needed to get done. So I'm just basically what both have said. It is difficult. It is a really big learning curve. It's like you're going back into school to learn a whole new subject again and understand everything from the beginning. So you're not essentially allowing other people to dictate to you what is supposed to be done or how it is supposed to be done. Because sometimes it doesn't always go that way. It's not always truthful. It is difficult. It is, but it's good. It's fun. It's exciting. But you just have to really kind of just gather yourself together and just go for it. If that's what you want to do and it's your passion, and it is a big one for us, we will just carry on going and fighting for it until it makes sense, basically.
Thanks. To echo a lot of the comments we've heard already, it's been a ride. It's been a real ride for us. Neither Nick or I have any sort of experience. We both come from an advertising background. So I think in the early days that served us well when it was all mood boards and Google Docs, and you quickly realize that this industry works in the real world and you have to get out and talk to people, you have to get out and meet people, and it's not email based at all. So once we were in that space and we had launched, it was a real baptism of fire, to be honest. But it's been a thrill, and like you say, we're learning every day. I think the challenges that we've come across have always been a moment to learn, and I think one thing that we've started to realize is that I don't think there's a blueprint. I don't think there's a sort of one-size-fits-all approach. True. I think there are definitely things and traditions and setups that make it make a way. And sort of you have to fall into the groove a little bit, but I think thinking outside of the box and questioning things is always a good thing. It's always a smart approach. We've found is to take a moment and ask why it's being set up this way, and is there a better way to do things? And I think some of that naivety in our early stages has served us well, and some of our best decisions and some of our best progressions have been made because we've taken a moment to question whether there's another way to do things. So I think it's an industry that's been set up for years, and there's a lot of bad behavior, I would say, as well. There's a lot of bad behavior that's been done before us, and I think for all of us sitting up here as young entrepreneurs and anyone else who's thinking of stepping into this space, it's not set in stone, I would say. There's room to shape things yourself, and I think you have to be confident in being able to have those conversations. And yeah.
Super, thank you. Quickly, we're just going to run through the panel before we finish off. Just one word of change you'd like to see in the next 12 months within the industry. If you can't do one, 3 will work.
Okay. Oh. Wait, just one word.
Yeah, 1 or 3. Yeah, a few words.
I'll
a few
just
words.
say
A sentence.
More inclusion.
Yeah.
And inclusion both on black businesses as well as women in alcohol as well, because that's extremely difficult as well. So I'll just say inclusion.
Yeah. Thank you. Nicole?
Support.
Yeah.
Comparing markets, sometimes we just get, whether it's marketing support, case support, whatever it may be, we're able to get that, but I found it very difficult to get it here. So if we could just get support, the same with her, whether it's women or minority, if we could just get the support.
Goodwill is my
Goodwill.
word, because I think that's what this industry kind of relies on.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a little bit of goodwill for this
Yeah.
to work.
Yeah, agree. Rico?
Yeah, I think just to sort of underpin all of that is conviction, like conviction in conviction in your yes or conviction in your no, and
Yeah.
context to those decisions and context to those those conversations would be super helpful. Yeah, and I think to your point as well, I think to that point on goodwill, I think there is a lot of empathy in this industry. I think there is a lot of shared learnings, and I think that's always great. And I think more of that would be amazing as well, because we're all here to learn at the end of the day.
Super, thank you. And then last but not least, before we hand over for some questions, where can we find you? Where can we find your products?
We can be found on Masters and Malt, Whiskey Exchange. We'll be in Hawksmoor and in many other bars, hopefully. So if you own a bar, restaurant, or sell products, come to us and you can stock us as well.
We're Harvey Nichols, Master of Malt. Venus is one of our distributors. Our website, we do direct to consumer. St. Ames, some of the bars and cafes around London.
Cool, do they?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
We're available on www.hazegin.com. Literally just Google Haze Gin. It'll take us to your Haze Gin website. Or we've also got our main kind of company name, which is Akua 2.0. So you could put in Akua, AKUA 2.0.com, and you should be able to find us there. So we're available mainly online. But if you are in Ghana or you go to Ghana, we're available in most of the bars and the shops and restaurants out there. So, yeah.
We're available online via Whiskey Exchange and Master of Malt, also direct via ourselves at stogan.com. Distribution via Speciality and Spirithead, and a bunch of restaurants and bars and things across the city. Hopefully some more if you're interested, let us know.
Super, thank you. And now, if anyone has any questions? Questions? Daniel, do you have your hand up? Questions? Yeah?
I actually said not today, but okay.
Oh, did you?
Hi guys.
Hello.
I'd just like to ask, what would you say is your proudest moment to date?
Last year, we got featured very heavily in GQ magazine as a cocktail of the summer. So that was a really big thing when they reached out to us and said they had seen our brand at certain events and pop-ups and stuff like that. And, you know, we're going to feature you really heavily. So from about last year, March until about August, we were in GQ, and then we moved on to Wired Mag as well, which was kind of weird because that's more for like technological kind of thing, but we were able to go in that as top 100 startups in a different kind of angle. So yeah, that was a big thing for us last year.
For us, the name of our champagne is La Pan Rouillé, which means Rusty Rabbit. It's my Nana's moniker. So to see it featured in Forbes and her picture there, my grandmother's now all over the world, that was the proudest moment for me because we talked about this 15 years ago. And she's no longer here with me, but you know, she's one of my ancestors looking down. So that would be one of my proudest moments.
Nice.
I think our proudest moment was closing a round of investment. That was hard, and convincing someone to part with a fair amount of money was a lovely moment. So I think that for us was our proudest moment. And actually yesterday, we're in Independent, 9.5 out of 10 for Vusa Vodka.
Oh, super.
And I loved that.
Yeah,
I was
brilliant.
like, yeah, cool. So that's up there. Oh, thanks, guys.
Congrats. I think our proudest moment may have been towards the end of last year. We did a anniversary one-year program with a gallery called Home, which is run in North London by Ronan Mackenzie. And it was just celebrating both of our one-year birthdays. But it was a really proud moment for us, just the way it came together. And it was sort of a lens on creativity and what the word home means across UK, Africa, and the Caribbean. We had a lot of entrants, a lot of great artists on display, and it really just encapsulated what St. Ogan means. And to say that we were 1 year old was a really proud achievement, because we were like, -5 or something before that point. So yeah, it's good.
Cool. Any more questions?
I was just wondering, so as a business owner who wants to sort of find, wants to find more smaller businesses and businesses, sort of from a two-way perspective of you're trying to be stocked in bars, I'm a bar that's trying to find more products, and somewhere in the middle we end up finding each other, usually through Imbibe and things. But are there any other places that you would say to look or to try and discover more small businesses and black-owned businesses that we can support?
I mean, I'll start by saying actually my business be Inclusive Hospitality.
On your newsletter.
So we do spotlight a lot of founders as well as chefs, sommeliers, bartenders. So that's a place to start for sure, but it's not the only place. I'm not sure where else though.
We've actually been talking to Master of Malt about having a minority-owned section on their site. So we are stocked with Reserve Bar in the U.S., and they have it. It's women-owned spirits, minority-owned, black-owned. And so we've asked them, and so they've been working on that aspect. But, I mean, at this juncture, you would just have to, like, Google, black-owned spirits.
Yeah. Or just get in touch with us. We'll point you in the direction. Like, Thank you. Thank you.
I think communities, like the community that Lorraine runs and curates, and there are other communities mainly that you can find online. So, Be Inclusive Hospitality is one. Future Plate.
Oh
They're focused on food, but they've got a lot of relationships with alcohol brands as well. And there are a few others. So we'll chat afterwards. But there are, I think, go into communities that support black-owned businesses. You can find, we're all kind of hovering around there, trying to find people like yourself. So,
Any more thoughts?
I guess it's the same. We're shocked when companies kind of find us, and I just assume it's just straight from Google. And actually, we got a lot of kind of approach from Instagram as well. That's where it mainly started. And then, that's all I think.
Coolio. Nothing else to add now? All right, brilliant. We've got one more question, I think, and then we will wrap up.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. This was so inspiring. Thank you. I had just a very simple question. So how do you get... Sorry. How do you translate that message, for example, that this product is from a black-owned, from a black-owned business, for example? How do you translate that to a consumer that randomly picks up a bottle in the shop? How do you do that?
I mean, how do you translate that to a consumer? So when they pick up that product in a shop, and I mean, I'm sure you've all got views, and I always jump in. I always do these host panels and give my opinion too. But I'll just say, honestly, the reasons why these 4 founders are on the panel is because their product's amazing, and I discovered that first. However, the pendulum is currently not centered. And so, in my view, it's important to be visible and identified as such through platforms and other as well. But anyway, that's just what are your thoughts?
So I say quality first. If you've got a quality product, quality sells and it sticks with you. And then when you have a quality product, what's someone going to do? They're going to research, they're going to look up. So when you first go to La Pommerier, you see a gorgeous black woman on our site. She's holding the bottle. She's in luxury. Another one of the reasons our brand was started was because I was in a meeting with a very top-tier hospitality hotel, and I told Lorraine this story. They were trying to explain to us that black people don't spend money. And I was really irritated by that because I know how I travel and I know how I go and I know how my friends go. And I was like, what do you mean we don't spend money on luxury? Yes, we do. If you just look at the all the graphics, the data, everything. And they were like, no, we just don't spin and cater to. And I said, oh, okay, game on. So for us, we wanted to, if you look at our bottle, it's sexy, it's red, it's gold, it stands out. But also we have a quality product. Because you don't want to dress the bottle and you've got crap inside of it, right? No one's going to remember it. And then they're going to just put a stigma on you that's already attached, like, oh, they're just doing X, Y, and Z. So it starts with quality, but then you also have to push your own story because no one else can do that like you can.
Yeah, I'll just go on from you, what you're saying by the bottle and the look. With Haze Gin, we have a distinctive bottle, we have a distinctive shape, which isn't quite the standard in the alcohol type business. And once you're into that kind of realm and we've got you, that's when you start to kind of research and look into it and think, what else are they trying to sell me? Oh, it's Africa. I mean, for us anyway, some of our brands, we've put them in our mother language as well. So we do have a ginger flavor and we've named it Akakadro, which is ginger in tree. So we play around with certain things and stuff like that. And we've noted down some that it is West African spices as well. That will intrigue you to think, what are West African spices? Why is it West African? I didn't think that there was any differences, blah, blah, blah. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be frank, we translate it because and communicate it just by telling them. Like we're quite upfront about what's inspired us and what's underpinning the brand. Those two words, Saint Ogun, we unpack them, and we do that with confidence because it's our truth and it's why and how we started. So Ogun is a Nigerian Orisha, and he's an Orisha, the god, I guess, of creation, and so that inspired our brand behavior entirely. So our bottle is inspired shape-wise by a sense of perspective. If you twist it around, it merges. We have an artwork done by a great artist called Simpre on the label. We have literally on the back of the label, we have an ode to the bonds between Africa, London, and the Caribbean. So how we do that will always change and pivot, and we'll always want to evolve. But I think at its crux, we've just taken inspiration from our truth and harkening back to those two words.
Yeah. I was going to say lovely way to finish. Sorry, Damal, I forgot.
I'll be really quick, but I love this question. I spent 12 years in advertising answering this question for Absolute, Martell, various other alcohol brands. Say, how do you translate what we're about? And then we get to do it for ourselves. We always say that we communicate to two audiences, trade and consumers. For trade, being a black-owned brand is important because they're trying to achieve a bit more representation and diversity in their portfolio, so we can communicate that directly to them by just saying it. But for consumers, actually for us, Africa is a creative platform that we reference and that we communicate, and how we do that is complicated because Africa is not a monolith, it's a continent, not a country, and we're about amplifying the cultures within it. We can signal that, yes, this is inspired by a black perspective, everything from putting black people in our communications, which your, mainstream brands will not necessarily think to do first. So it's all those little signals that then say, oh, this is where it's coming from, this is what it represents, and this is, I guess, where the story is coming from.
Yeah.
And I think we're in a privileged position where we can now then say, right, actually, we are going to tell stories from Africa and from Africans and about the African culture that, again, nobody else is going to do unless we do it ourselves. So I think for us, that's the next phase, putting or amplifying African cultures and stories. I cannot wait until we show people, a scene of somebody spraying someone at a wedding, that on a TV ad. That would be amazing because no one's done it before. Representing celebration and enjoyment of our product in that context, for us, is an absolute privilege. So that's when you'll start to see, communicating our cultures in these spaces. That's it for me.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank you all for joining me today. It's been joy. Really enjoyed talking to you all. Thank you so much.